Hello, my name is Lindsey Parrish, and today Hannah Tull and I will be co-presenting information about ADHD. For some children, school is an exciting place where you learn new things while interacting with many peers and teachers. Millions of students look forward to reading, writing, conducting experiments, and socializing each day. However, for some students, about 9.4% of school-aged children to be exact, the school day can be a little more challenging. These students may spend their day feeling distracted, making careless mistakes, or even have difficulty following directions. In this presentation, Hannah and I will share information with you about ADD and ADHD, how this disability can affect school-aged children, and what you can do as a teacher to help these students be as successful as possible.
What is ADD or ADHD? ADD is actually an outdated term and is no longer in use in clinical settings. The disorder is now referred to as ADHD or Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. ADHD is defined as a common neurobehavioral disorder of childhood highly prevalent among young children and adolescents. Children and adolescents with ADHD may experience diminished attention span, daydreaming, difficulty following directions, and distractibility. This means that if a student has ADHD, their school performance is negatively impacted by their inattentive, hyperactive, or impulsive behavior. Let's take a look at the characteristics and behaviors associated with ADHD. When most people think of a child who has ADHD, they may think of a child who is easily distracted and who is extremely active. While this may be true, there are many other common symptoms of the disorder. When thinking of a student with ADHD, you may think of some of the following traits. These include being forgetful and having trouble remembering important information, being careless and making mistakes often, risky behavior that may cause harm to oneself or to others, trouble getting along, especially in group settings, being disorganized and misplacing important objects, excessive talking, which can be a disruption in the school day, daydreaming, which causes a student to have trouble retaining important information, and trouble sitting still, which often causes behavioral disruptions in class. When someone mentions that a student has ADHD, they most often think of the impulsive hyperactive type. Many people aren't aware that there are actually three main presentations of ADHD. These presentations include inattentive or distractible, which is most often diagnosed in girls, impulsive hyperactive, which is usually more common in boys, and the combined presentation, which is present in both boys and girls. Although one presentation may be more common in one gender over another, it does not mean that it is specific to that gender. Let's take a look at the symptoms for each presentation. The inattentive presentation of ADHD often goes unnoticed and can cause a delayed diagnosis. It's often more common in girls, however, it can also be present in boys. The most common symptoms of inattentive presentation of ADHD include difficulty staying focused on task. For students, this would look like changing conversation topics or switching between different tasks. Daydreaming is another symptom, which can often be more difficult to spot. Oftentimes, these students are able to look like they're paying attention, but they're actually not listening. This can cause trouble later on when they need to recall instructions or specific information. A student who has the inattentive presentation of ADHD may also lose things frequently. This is not due to being lazy, but due to forgetfulness and trouble staying organized. It can be extremely frustrating to the student. Another common symptom is difficulty organizing tasks and activities. Students may not be able to begin a lengthy project because they aren't aware of how to organize the steps. Sometimes this causes a student to not complete an assignment at all. The hyperactive impulsive presentation of ADHD is what most people may think of when thinking of a student with ADHD. The most common symptoms of hyperactive impulsive presentation of ADHD includes difficulty sitting still. The student often fidgets or squirms or will make multiple trips around the room just to get out of their seat. For some students with ADHD, it's actually mentally painful to be required to sit still for extended periods of time. Students with hyperactive impulsive presentation of ADHD may also run or climb often. This can look like a student running to different areas of the room instead of walking and sitting on desk or other classroom furniture. Students with this presentation may also have trouble remaining quiet. They may talk excessively and disrupt other students nearby. Another common symptom includes difficulty waiting. For a student, this may look like interrupting others when talking, cutting in line to get somewhere first, or grabbing manipulatives before it is their turn. The combined presentation of ADHD is just what it sounds like. This presentation has symptoms of both inattentive and hyperactive presentations. This would be a student who not only cannot stay still during class time, but also cannot pay attention due to daydreaming. A student with this presentation may not have all of the symptoms from the other two presentations, but they will have multiple from each one. Let's look at how all of these different presentations of ADHD can impact a student's school performance.
Now that you have learned more about ADHD and have a better understanding of how this disability can affect students in the classroom, we will take a look at a few scenarios. In each of the 3 scenarios, you will observe a student with ADHD in the school setting, as well as hear their inner dialogue. After you observe, you will be presented with a few options for modification or accommodation. Use your teacher instincts to see if you can select the best way to intervene. In the first scenario, we will look at Amaya. Amaya is a student that has been diagnosed with ADHD. She is working on a reading comprehension activity. Let's listen in on what Amaya is thinking while she completes this task.
This homework is so boring. I wish I didn't lose my pink pencil. The teacher was so mad when I couldn't find it. I don't like how it writes. I wonder what the people are doing in this picture. My brother has a green shirt like this man. Wait. Ugh, I hate how I can't pay attention. I'll never be able to finish this homework. I hate school.
What would you do?
The most appropriate accommodation would be A. Increase distance between desks to dissuade the student from talking to classmates. B. Break assignments into smaller parts to help the student stay focused and organize the assignment. Or C. Set up a behavior contract that would allow the student to work towards certain behavioral goals. This often includes an incentive.
If you chose B, you're correct. Breaking assignments into more manageable parts would be most helpful for Amaya. Working towards these smaller goals would give Amaya more confidence to complete each section of her assignment carefully. Here are some modifications and accommodations you could give to a student that is having difficulty completing assignments or who is easily distracted. When a student needs to complete an assignment, you could use written and oral instructions so that there is no confusion about what needs to be done. Allow extra time and break assignments into smaller parts. These could help alleviate stress within the student. Go over work with the student before submission to make sure they've completed all the requirements for the assignment. To help a distracted student, you could involve them as much as possible. Ask questions and let the student participate in the lesson. Seat them near the front to help them remain focused. Use a secret gesture or signal to discreetly remind the student to get back on task. In this scenario, we will look at Michael. Michael is a student with ADHD. He is supposed to be quietly working on a quiz at his seat. Let's listen in on what Michael is thinking while he completes this task.
I'm tired of sitting. I'm going to sharpen my pencils. I wonder how sharp I can get it. Good thing I brought all of them. I'm so bored of this class. The teacher looks like she's getting mad at me. I'm just sharpening my pencils. I guess I'll go sit down. Ugh. Tired of sitting. This homework is so boring. Ooh, I wonder what they're doing outside right now. I wish I could go outside. It's better than being in here.
What would you do?
The most appropriate accommodation would be A. Allow the student to stand at their desk while working to prevent them from becoming restless. B. Ask questions to encourage participation and to help the student stay focused. Or C. Praise students in front of classmates to encourage the desired behavior.
If you chose A, you're right. Michael would benefit most from being able to stand at his desk while working. This may alleviate some of his feelings of restlessness. Here are some modifications or accommodations you could use with a student that is being disruptive or who is restless. A disruptive student may benefit from sitting near a student that displays positive behaviors. Only acknowledge the student when they are following classroom protocol. And it is important to review these protocols as often as necessary. Increasing the distance between desks or tables may decrease the urge for the student to touch others. Make sure the rewards or consequences given are as immediate as possible. Reprimanding a behavior that happened an hour before will not be as effective in the long run. If a student is feeling restless, provide alternative seating or seat modifications such as a yoga ball, swivel stool, or leg band. Make sure to give the student short breaks. Fidget toys can also be an effective way to divert extra energy, as long as the student has been taught how to use them appropriately. In our last scenario, we will look at Kara. Kara is a student with ADHD. Her teacher has asked the students to take out and turn in last night's homework assignment. Let's listen in on what Kara is thinking while she completes this task.
Where'd I put that paper? I've got to have it. I'm going to get in so much trouble if I can't find this. I wish I could stay organized.
What would you do?
The most appropriate accommodation would be A. Seat the student in the front row to minimize distractions. B. Color code binders or folders and use dividers to help the student stay organized. Or C. Encourage cooperative learning.
If you chose B, great job. If Kara's folders and notebooks were color-coded, she would know exactly which notebook to pull out to find her homework assignment. Here are some modifications and accommodations you could use with a student that is struggling with organization. Establish classroom procedures. This will help students get into a routine and know exactly what to expect daily. Having bins labeled and organized can help the student feel less stressed when looking for or cleaning up classroom materials. Also, color-coding books and supplies by subject can help keep the student on track. For example, Use yellow for all math book covers, notebook dividers, and files. Use red for everything related to reading class, and so on. If possible, provide the student with 2 sets of books and supplies, one for home and one for school. This way, there is less for the child to remember to bring back and forth, which will also help conserve the child's mental energy for their most important task, learning. Last, designate a responsible buddy to check things like homework agendas and assisting the student with cleaning out their desk and locker weekly. In the last part of our presentation, I will review some things you as a teacher can do to plan and prepare for any students that may have ADHD. The best way to plan for your students is to get to know them, find out their interests, strengths, areas for improvement, etc. The more you know about your students, the better you can plan for successful routines and procedures. Make sure to check for IEPs, ILPs, 504 plans, etc., so you can learn as much about your students' behavioral and academic needs and goals. If you learn that one of your students has ADHD, it is important to do your research. Not all students with ADHD will display the same behaviors. The more you know, the less likely you are to form a bias or to lump students with ADHD together. The Affinity Center Incorporated is a great online tool and also houses many other websites that contain important information about ADHD. If you're unsure about something, just ask. It is important to document both positive and negative behaviors in the classroom. Having this type of data can help a teacher discover trends about their students. For example, Anna tends to be more disruptive in the morning, or Stephen is more distracted after lunch. With this information, you can begin to prepare and create solutions for these behaviors. Create a positive rapport with parents and communicate regularly. Ask for their input. It is important that you remain on a team. When planning your classroom, it is vital to have an environment that isn't too distracting. Students with ADHD need to have designated areas that are free of clutter to complete work or to take a break. Giving a small amount of time to let the student recharge may alleviate major distractions down the road. For students with ADHD, it is important that things have a clear and concise home within the classroom. Visual labels are helpful because it eliminates confusion and stress when it comes to cleaning up and staying organized. Visual schedules and timers can help keep the student confident since they know which activity will come next and at what time. Graphic organizers are also wonderful tools to use because it displays important information concisely. Find a variety of creative ways to get the classes or students' attention. Doorbells, chants, and different hand signals can help keep students engaged, on track, and ready to learn.
The more we work to learn about and understand ADHD and how its symptoms affect our students, the more we can ensure that they are happy, thriving, and appropriately challenged every day at school. If you would like to learn more about ADHD in education or how to help advocate for people with ADHD, you can visit the Children and Adults with Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder website at www.chadd.org.